Hey, Rambo.
Hey, how you doing?
I am doing great. I am so excited we're about to talk to Les. We are about to get like a front lines, boots on the ground, realize radio, wartime update. This is going to be like realer, truer than anything that I'm seeing on NewYorkTimes.com, anything that I'm seeing on CNN, anything that I'm seeing on Twitter, anything, it's other than his stuff.
Is it just a regular guy who went to Ukraine with his camera and shown us what he's seen? He went to Kiev, and a lot of people have seen, it's not in that. Kiev is all I've actually heard from the media. It's the only place I've heard.
We even had an entire conversation. Kiev.
Yeah.
He's putting himself smack dab in the middle of where we are being told things are going down, whether it's the people themselves, their lives being completely turned upside down, destroyed by the specter of war a town over, and it's affecting everyone everywhere. And enough of my intro. Here Les is joining. Let's get him in here. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to. Oh, there he is. Clear as day. Hey, Les.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey,
Sorry. Hey, how you doing? Sorry, let me start this Zoom. It's always a problem for me, this Zoom. Am I sideways again?
No, you're right side up. You're perfect.
Okay.
You sound great too. I have to say,
Awesome.
Les, I feel like last night was Christmas Eve and this is Christmas Day. And man, what a treat. This is a real present. This is a real gift. Thank you, Les, for. So can we start at the very beginning, like before you even?
Wait. Can I just let you know that in this current hostel, there's quite a few mainstream journalists and photographers and stuff. So if I suddenly stop talking and pick up the phone, it's because they've walked in. There's no one here at the moment because I'm in a can you see like a dormitory kind of.
Wow. Oh. And many of those beds you say are journalists, are like legit, quote unquote, mainstream journalists.
The believers, yeah. So yeah, if they come in and I suddenly go quiet or you see me walk in, it's because I'm going to get away from them, because I'm still trying to be careful.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But anyway, let's crack on, yeah.
Okay, you're smack dab in the middle. Get us, take us. I want to hear everything. I want to hear, how you got there. That's a whole story. How you left the UK and got there. And that was what, a week ago already? A week.
Was it like the 3rd? I think you went on the 3rd, didn't you? 3rd of March.
I purpose, the 3rd of the 3rd.
The 3rd. Okay.
Got the 33 in there, yeah.
So bring us back to 3/2, like the night before. What are you packing? What are you thinking? Okay, just Les, take it away.
I packed basically socks because I had visions that I wasn't going to get a hotel and I'd be walking everywhere. I don't know if you remember Forrest Gump, where he's in the army. He joins the in Vietnam and he meets his captain. He's like, "Have you got socks? You need socks. All you need is socks. Look after your feet." The main thing, and yeah, man, I thought the main thing I need to be able to do is walk everywhere, walk home, walk to a place. So I basically packed socks, combat trousers, a couple of, and 2 sets of thermal, underclothes, in case I ended up having to sleep on the street.
Yeah.
What's the temperature like there in general? Are you very
It's pretty
chilly?
cold, yeah.
Pretty cold, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cold, yeah. I also packed things like an action camera, and I got like a little voice recorder. I had 2 mobile phones and a battery pack in case I couldn't get any power.
You are a modern day, I was about to say James Bond. It's like a Jason Bourne. You have Jason, all of a sudden you've Jason Bourned yourself into a real situation. Wow.
It's the most real form of journalism I've ever seen in my life. That's what I would say it is. Like it's.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's the most important journalism happening right now, I would argue, ever.
Wow.
It sure
I
is.
appreciate that.
The only thing I can compare it to, and then I think it all springs from the same place, is people filming hospitals, just recently when we all woke up and people were like, I know the city's locked down, but here I am in Manhattan, and like these body trucks on the side of the street, there's nothing in them. These refrigerated body trucks waiting for the bodies. There's nothing it's just, they're just they're just sitting there to make you think they're stacked with bodies, and all these tent hospitals and all these, it's all empty.
So like your journey there now, it was like to Poland, did you say first, and then through from there on an overnight train?
That's it. Yeah. Through Poland. Yeah. Overnight train to Lviv. You know, when I was planning it, I just looked on, I just Googled like the nearest towns, the nearest border, and I just thought Poland's a bit more, because you can fly from England to Krakow quite easily. Like my flight to Krakow was like 14 quid.
Right.
And then from there, I could just see there was trains running pretty much in a straight line to get me into Kyiv.
Wow. And you said from the moment you started traveling, like it wasn't crazy or anything, was it? It was like a normal travel, right? Like
normal travel, yeah. Getting in there was pretty normal. Yeah. Once I reached the border town, that's when it got wild, you know. I'm sure you've seen all that footage of me when I literally just walked onto this set of cameras, lights everywhere. The video village, like you told me it's called, yeah. All that stuff. But the thing is, you know, once you're coming off the
let's
train,
talk about that real quick. Like that was the first thing you saw. One of the first scenes that you sent me. I think really, I mean, it was like a DM. I think you sent me a DM at first. It was like, this is something I just got here, HV. And this is the first thing I see. And it was a tent. And underneath the tent were a bunch of screens, and it looked in AV equipment, and you could see that they were monitoring feeds. It's a place called Video Village in a large scale video production. There's always a separate place where the people who matter, who are making decisions, sit back and watch what is being filmed elsewhere. It's like a separate place to watch what's being filmed, and you have multiple monitors, multiple feeds, and the only time I ever see that is on a film set. That's the only time I ever see something like that. And so you sent me a picture of a film set, basically, where you're like, what's this? And I was like, well, in my world, that's called Video Village. That's exactly what it is right there too. Anyway, so yeah, you walked into a film set.
Yeah. And you got no choice to participate in the whole thing, because you want to move through that train station, you have to participate in that scene. You're now moving with that thing. They're diverting you into their movie of.
Tell me about that. You said they closed off. They made it so.
So the main hall where you could buy your tickets, right? There's free ticket windows. So they could have all three of them open. They closed it to one, so you had this one massive queue going to the ticket place, right? So you had a simple question. You had to enter that crazy queue, where you're all compressed in together. Also, like the volunteers and these charities, they were just took up half of that hall as well, their desks and stuff. So you're getting more and more compressed into this queue, and you're just getting all like, and obviously they've set up the cameras, so it gives the illusion that you're all kind of like
huddled
refugeeing this crisis. Yeah. But the other thing is, like, when they're coming off the train, they basically got like. They hand you your refugee uniform. They'll throw a blanket over your head. They'll take your bags for you, all like the police and the army, and then they'll give you like a sandwich and a bottle of water. So straight away, they put the costume on you of the refugees. So you've got this blanket over your shoulders and a sandwich and a bottle of water, and you're all walking. They are. I didn't, obviously. Yeah. I said, no, I'm not. I'm just a tourist here. But all the women and children.
Think of that over a lifetime for the kids. That kid will never forget the taste of that sandwich for the rest of their life. Visceral. That's a 5D experience right there.
5D experience, yeah. But like 2 minutes up the road, the city's fine. It's empty. There's restaurants. There's everything, you know.
Was there many people heading in on that overnight train with you, or was it not? Because I seen on your post you've written like some Ukrainians are heading back in. So now there was plenty heading back in, yeah. I'd say not a ridiculous amount, but like a fair few. And now what they did with us heading in, they made us queue for 7 hours. For 7 hours, we had to stand in that queue. And of course, then again, they've set up all the cameras at an angle, so they filmed you in that queue, and the journalists are just running up and down, and they were basically looking for that story of men going into like fight. Yeah.
So every time they saw me with all my tattoos and my beard, they obviously assumed I was a military guy. Right. And they straight come up with the leading question of, so you're going in to fight? And I'd be like, no, I'm not. I don't do interviews. Sorry, I'm just going in to whatever, you know. I didn't want to ever take part in that. But yeah, and that's it. You're yet again forced into that queue which they're just taking the
Disneyland.
pictures of.
That's Disneyland.
Yeah.
Also, someone brought it up. Who originally was obsessed with queuing? I guess Les was.
That was me.
Les.
That was you. That was definitely you. That was your original. Wasn't that your original
yeah.
fascination? Yeah. Oh my God! It's come full circle for you. Your original
Yeah.
fascination, queuing, in the importance and what was the purpose of teaching people and training people to line up in these queues, and it goes back to queue with the Q and I, and it goes back to, and just like the immersive experience, and like we learned through theatrical experiences through Disneyland, and learning and that's like all about the line and the immersive line experience. And here you are in the theater of war. It's like a mixture of all of that. It's Disney, which is Hollywood theatrics. You're literally in a staged production, and like again the queue. The aligning of thoughts, the narrowing of views. It's like it all connects. Isn't it so? You're living. Oh, I got chills. I'm about to cry. Wow. I mean,
But you got to think, right? They've got you in the cold. They've got you in the cold. They will not give you an answer to when the train is. So they're playing that psychological game of messing with everyone. Like, you don't know. They will not give you an answer. And what they're doing is the train that's coming in, they are getting drip fed through because they've got to go through the process of immigration and refugeeing or whatever. And
which is
so you're
just an
seeing
additional act. It's just someone coming in, an official-looking person coming in, adding a time-consuming act, which ripple effect. Yeah, it's just an action.
They could have got off that train in half an hour. They make it a whole day event. They're creating the stress on the people. So like you said, that child is going to have a memory of 7 hours in the cold, not eating, not drinking, and then they give you your crappy little tinfoil refugee sandwich. Now you've lived that.
You've war, and then
right?
that's war. You were in war, and you for the rest of your life you will remember being in that wartime memory. And 7 hours as a kid, that's like 7 months in adult time. It's so prolonged and protracted.
What was it like on the streets, like walking around? Was like army soldiers around or anything like that? Do you know, like making it?
So once I got to Kyiv, you mean?
Yeah, once you got off the train and done the...
I have to say the train station was mad. There are lots of people leaving the city. That's not an illusion. There are people leaving the city. But yet again, they're making this. But instead of putting on extra trains, they've made less trains. There's no timetables, so it's just pure chaos there. It doesn't.
And everyone wanting to just escape from what they've been told, really.
Talking to Ukrainian people, apparently it's a terrible train system anyway. Like a train could leave in 1 minute, it could leave in an hour. They don't have like a timetable like everywhere else. So you're basically all up at the top, sitting there waiting to hear like what trains go into wherever, and then everyone runs down to it.
We get so much comfort out of time. Time, if they fuck with our time, it can really squeeze us psychologically. That's a big part of it too. Yeah.
But my first day, I had no chip, no Ukrainian chip. So
SIM card? Oh yeah.
SIM card, yeah. So every time I went to Google Maps, I'd just get a text through saying like, you spent £5. Then I've gone again. You've now spent £45.
What?
You've now spent 50. So where I was getting like, I was like, I can't do this. So I spent like a whole day trying to get a SIM card. But that was a great thing to like when people, because everyone was asking me this question, why are you here? And I had to be very careful about how I, what I said, innit?
Yeah.
But the great thing was I could turn around and say, I'm looking for a SIM card.
Yeah.
I need a SIM card to see the next train. So that was a great excuse.
Yeah. And you could be truthful. You were truthful.
Yeah. So I was basically I just stayed around the station looking for a SIM card and just also scoping it out, seeing what's about, testing the water. I eventually got a SIM card, which is like £8, and it worked. You just plugged it in and worked straight away. And then I just found a close hostel. I looked up the hotels, basically, loads of hotels.
And wireless is strong through the city, right? Like Wi-Fi is strong.
The Wi-Fi is great. I've never had. It's the greatest signal I've ever had in my life. In a war zone, right?
Coming to you live from Ukraine. Yeah, they have to have good signals if they're going to broadcast this World War III from. Come on now, yeah.
That's it, yeah. And I went for the cheapest hostel, and that was it. I booked in, and that was me. That was day one. On my first 10 minutes there, I thought I've got to get film of this. The madness of this train station. Yeah. And I held my phone sideways, like in the landscape. I filmed for about 10 seconds. I put it down, and then 2 police officers just turned straight up next to me, passport. Why are you here? And then weirdly, another member of the public jumped in as well and said something to him in Ukrainian. And then he said to me, so, well, why are you here? And I said, oh, well, I was coming to meet someone, but now I was just playing along, but now it's kind of dangerous. I might go home. I don't know. He's like, yeah, you should go home. This was like a real life Agent Smith was just trying to get me away from there. You should go home.
Wow.
And then another trick that worked really well is you'd bombard them with questions. They'd run off.
Oh, really?
Like, where do I get a SIM card? Where's a hotel? Where? Because they don't want to answer it, do they?
Right.
So that worked. That was a great way to chase away these Agent Smiths. But yeah, that member of the public, he was really weird. He was dressed all in black hat, and and when we was walking, I walked upstairs with him. I said, "Are you a police as well?" He said, "No." He's like, "My friend, you realise you're in a war zone, right? Go home." I was like, "Okay, yeah," and then I walked off. But yeah, man, it's weird, isn't it? How
they know, like they have to be. If I'm gonna put my woo hat on right now, Twilight Zone coming on. They have to be a Mr. Smith. They have to know. I think that there are certain entities there that have an inkling, like a programmed in inkling, that know that you're here to
keep the illusion going, aren't they? They're there to bring that illusion. Get out of there, quick! Get out of there.
You pose a threat,
authority.
not to the you don't pose a threat to the people. You pose a threat to the system, and I think that is detectable, right?
Yeah.
But
I'm all about the woo woo. This is what I think people are missing: is I am woo woo all the way through. And I think a lot of the 10,000 people that started following me don't understand that. When I say Agent Smith, I'm being serious. I'm being serious. The simulation is manifesting an Agent Smith in front of me to get me out of there. Because they don't know my past tweets and stuff. They don't get where I'm coming from. But I'm being deadly serious when I say the simulation sent Agent Smiths all the time on this little journey to try and convince me to get out there.
What did you say? There was a curfew on time, and they'd set the alarms off for you to go, and that's kind of playing into it as well, isn't it? Did you?
Yeah.
Did they tell you that as soon as you got there?
Yeah, the curfew's 8 till 8, and then they start playing the sirens sporadically throughout the.
Are they like old timey World War II sound sirens?
This is another issue I have. Why are they playing World War II sirens? Like, surely missiles are hypersonic now, and it's not like an old.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. They implanted it early.
Yeah.
That's what we know for war. If we hear that, we know war. Where there's no like, hey, what's that newfangled siren? Like, where there's no risk at someone actually liking the way the siren sounds. Like, we know that those old timey sirens mean war.
Yeah.
You don't need to change it. Yeah, they don't need to change it.
But yeah,
you said like no follow-up explosions or anything after those sirens would go off at the night or anything.
Are there lots of theatrical things like planes flying ahead though? Like are there any visualizations, or is it more like an audible experience?
I can remember off the top of my head, I saw like a little very tiny like convoy of like Humvees. Mm-hmm. Like 3 Humvees, they were actually American Humvees, which is weird. I find very weird. Mm-hmm. With a guy on the top with a machine gun, but they would just do laps. They were just doing a lap around the city. That's all they were doing, a lap around the city. Now, you could say, okay, right, they're looking for Russian troops on the streets. Mm-hmm. But yeah, again, that's another thing that's like to scare the shit out of people, right? Mm-hmm. To bring it to life.
Yeah, to bring it to life.
And the other thing I saw was a tank. I did towards like the last couple of days, I saw a tank, just one tank. I was in my hostel. I could see everyone looking, and I heard it, and a tank just rolled by, and it was just so out of place. This is right by, this was back by the train station. So why are you here? There's definitely nothing going on here, war-wise. So what's the purpose? What is he driving all the way to the front line like that? Anyone in the military knows that tanks are transported on the back of lorries usually because it's more cost-effective, right? Mm-hmm. You don't roll the tank. That would be like,
can you imagine the cost of gas?
70 gallons.
With the cost of gas right now, and they're just doing laps around the city. That thing gets 1 mile to the gallon.
That's it, right. Right. So, but that was it. Yeah, I saw one little convoy of Humvees, and I saw one tank. Never saw any, I'm disappointed I never saw any fighter jets and helicopters. I thought that would be the main, or like these missile defense rockets you keep seeing.
Right.
Defending. But no, I never saw any of that. No.
Like gunfire noise in the background or anything like that?
No, I heard one explosion when I left, like yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Yet again, while you're queuing for the train, I just heard a kaboom, and then that was it. Now, not being funny, that that could just be an artillery round just firing into nothing, right?
Yeah.
Like if you go, like in England, we have a place called the Salisbury Plains. That's where the military goes and practices all their maneuvers and stuff. When you're in that area, all you can hear is kabooms, right? Where they're just test firing and stuff.
Absolutely.
It's not hard to set up an artillery battery close by and just every now and again just fire it off into nothing. Which I think that's what
happens
we do
all the time. And this isn't, and it's, what I think about the theater of war, the battlefield is a controlled military zone. And that's where they do controlled military things. And a lot of that is like, you made the comparison to Acme, the old not Disney, Looney Tunes. What is that? What is the cartoon?
It's Looney Tunes,
Looney Tunes, yes, Looney Tunes. And it has like the Acme, all the TNT, all the explosives, and and the anvils dropping from the sky, and just all of it. It seems like there's a lot of nods to what we're seeing like right now, and those really cartoony missiles, those ones that go pew, pew, and then have like a big explosion.
You've seen them stuck in the ground on Twitter, aren't you? Like stuck in the middle of the road and stuff.
It's so ridiculous.
And you did it side by side. It's the same. It's as cartoonish as the cartoon. Like it looks, the real photo in real life, quote unquote, looks no more or less cartoonish than the actual Looney Tunes cartoon. Your side by side was a perfect template. It was really eye-opening. I mean, it's you're preaching to the choir over here, but I think people are really waking up. I can tell you've got, how many new followers do you have? Like thousands and thousands and thousands of people are aware now. Think about, I mean, when you really think about that, that's a lot of light bulbs. That's a lot of light bulbs.
So a lot of people switched onto it, haven't they?
Switched on is exactly what I mean. Like if you think about dark matter as people that believe bullshit, and that's what dark matter is. Like, what is dark matter? Nobody can explain it. But what if dark matter is people that are bought into the lie and they truly believe the lie, and so they are like feeding this beast of darkness, of shadow play, like an untruth. If light is truth, then darkness is untruth. And like, what if each person? Think about like all those people that are now seeing a reality that they just weren't capable of seeing before because they had never been shown in this way, never been given the lens. Like they are turned on, like light in the dark. I think we could be.
Some people are in denial of it still, though. Like some people.
Oh my God.
In denial of it.
Everybody's still, not everybody, but like there's no mainstream media talking about it in this way. But although I would argue we're hearing so many stories about how it's propaganda. Like they're mainstream. Even
using
like the
old
embassy, the Russian
like
embassy trolled that one picture of the maternity ward of that crisis actress. Like they're using phrases crisis actor. They're using the phrase false flag. The reporting of war has never been this curtain pulling, but they're not even giving us the truth when they say it. They're like somehow still diverting or prisming the light. Like, I don't know. You're the only one doing it. I feel like in the truest way, where you're showing it. Like nobody's really getting that. It's
and
all fake.
That your camera is crystal clear. It's not
Yours
all
is crystal clear.
pixelated. You can see what's going on.
Cheers. Amen to that. Amen to that. There is. Yeah.
And one of your videos, it was like all those like prop cars. That's all I could understand. That was a great video.
Like there's a lot of streets where they've just left a bashed up car there, right? Now, I don't know whether they're claiming that's a war thing or whether I don't know who put it there, but with the city being so empty, they could easily get rid of that, right? Yeah, now's the perfect time to go around cleaning up the city if you wanted to, like say like the city workers, right? You've never had a better time to go and clear all the abandoned cars, but they're left there. So all the people that arrive in Kyiv and then make the walk journey through to a train station have the experience of walking past all these bashed up cars. And the tank hedgehogs, and the blockades everywhere, and So you're walking through that experience. It's a walk-through experience.
Yeah.
Does it kind of look like a Disney production? Like, do you get that vibe? Do you get like that it's so theatrical? Like, do the cars look staged, or do they look like they were genuinely bombed out?
They look staged to me because they're all at a slight angle.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that tire fort. Your tire, that tire fort, the thing
Yeah.
that you shared. Oh my God. Okay. So talk to me about like walking up on, describe it and I mean, it looked like a kid's jungle gym. The most theatrical element I think that I saw of a lot of things you posted. I want to hear about that.
So a lot of people were saying, go to Irpin, go to Irpin. If you're really in Kyiv, go to Irpin. So I tried to go to Irpin, but no taxi driver wanted to go there. They were just like, no, police checkpoints, it's just not worth it. And so I decided to walk in that direction. So yeah, I started to walk in that direction, and I just, every now and again, you would just come up to that kind of thing. You come up to that scenery of the blockades and the tires and stuff. And yeah, that was it. That was it. There was plenty of them. They're just dotted around the city as a movie set, and there's just props everywhere to give you that feeling. And some of them are in a really like odd place. Like you think, why is that? What's the mentality of just having a blockade here? You know, it's just like just a random road, and it's like, well, I don't understand. It's not. What is the point of this, other than to give people the feeling that they're at war?
Yeah.
Because strategically, it isn't gonna. Like the Russian tank isn't going to come down this road. You know, like it's
go around
well,
another
that
way.
one tank is that one tank circling around.
Yeah, but that was a Ukraine. This is the thing. That was a Ukrainian tank, right? Mm-hmm. I think the main people behind this are the Ukrainian. I don't know, globalists that want to get people out of Ukraine. Like, in many ways, they've won that war. They've scared people out of that city. In many ways, they've won. They've won because people who have believed it and they've got out. A lot of people.
Yeah.
But I just also, other things I want to point out is like from talking to people and stuff, like a lot of the men don't want to get drafted into the conscripted into the military and have to go laugh along. So a lot of men are just like, fuck this, man. I'm getting out of here. Like
the word is conscripted.
Conscript. Yeah.
Conscript.
In Russia, you're called a conscript, yeah.
They always tell us.
And, like,
but also,
you posted what?
Sorry, say again, Rambo.
Go on, mate. Go on. Yeah, go on. Carry on.
The city's on lockdown, so life is unbearable there. Other than you can eat, that's another interesting thing. They never kill you. They can let you live. They make your life hellish, but they can never ever stop you food, can they? That's another interesting thing. But it's just another lockdown like the coronavirus. They've just shut down any type of fun and made it unbearable. So that's another reason people are getting out. Because what can you do? Like, you can't earn any money. You can't party. You can't go anywhere. You walk the streets, you're going to get shook down by the police. Like, why are you here? So that's another reason people are leaving. They're not dodging bullets and bombs. They're dodging the economic shutdown and unbearable life that the government's created. It's all manufactured, you know?
Yeah.
You done a good post today about the saying there was no food, and the BBC was like, oh, they're struggling for food and water. And
then
I've never seen so many oranges and lemons and stuff in my life. Food was fine. I had one thing I could get hold of was food, and it was all I could pay on my credit card, which is great because cash was my big problem.
Yeah.
And that's the main reason I had to leave, is because the hostels wanted cash. And I never once had Ukrainian cash. I was using Polish. Luckily, the hostel was really nice, and they took my Polish cash. I could not get hold of cash because all the cash points were closed.
Yeah, that's another reason.
But yeah,
outsiders from coming in because they can't get.
But also, it makes life hellish for people living there, and it also makes you have to go digital. So if there are any grannies out there that are still going by cash, or a percentage of people that are going by cash, you're getting frozen out of that. You've got to get yourself a credit card, and that's that. You have to go digital. But on the other hand, it was fine. I had a credit card, so I could buy food, I could buy coffees. Eating was not a problem.
You're right. They don't want us dead. They want us like fatted calves. They want us like foie gras, those fat ducks that just get fed and kept from living a real life, just well fed. But
think of the louche being harvested from this.
Delicious. Whoever's feeding off of us is having a delicious meal right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's it. Mainly, guys, I just every day I would go and walk the streets, looking for that one particular bombed out building they kept showing.
Yeah.
They kept showing that bombed out building, and I could not find it. But I couldn't find any signs of a bomb.
Yeah, so the buildings are fine. Like it's
buildings are fine.
not like people can't come. It's not like people have left and they can never come back because the city no longer exists. It's just been bombed. It's gone. Like there's no coming back from this. Like that's not the case, right? It's people can return in business. Life can be regular right now. It's just not because of the theater.
Yeah.
Same with COVID. Like COVID was, everyone's saying, "Oh, we're getting back to normal. We're getting back to normal." Y'all, it was never not normal. It was never different. We just were brainwashed into thinking it was, and given a scenery. And this is way more immersive. What you're in right now, this war theater. And that just that can only, and it happens in such a small space for the physicality of it, but we're experiencing it all through the world just through our screens. And so it's just like a small little stage, but you're there, you're on it, you're on the stage.
Behind the curtains,
literally behind the curtain. Wow.
So did it look like people were continuing to evacuate out of there to the point where there'd be nobody left there? I was getting Twin Tower vibes, get everyone out.
And get everyone
out and then do something real
just
crazy.
Demolish a building. It's like...
Yeah. Well, this is it, isn't it? If once you empty that village, maybe you can... Sorry, that city, maybe you can start dropping bombs because there's no one there to kill. I don't know. I personally don't think that will ever happen. I don't think the bombs will ever hit Kyiv. That's the thing. And I know a lot of people keep saying to me, go here, go there. Kyiv is the main one that they have to say has been taken, because the rest are just bummy ex-Soviet Union towns that are demolished anyway.
Ukraine is new, y'all. Ukraine is a new place. It wasn't Ukraine. Ukraine hasn't always been Ukraine. Russia hasn't always been Russia. The USSR, the Soviet bloc, it's a very nebulous territory. This area was this, and this area took that. And Ukraine and Russian, the language is 60% the same. Their they're almost the same. It's basically the same. They just tweaked it a little bit a few decades ago, made this false identity of a territory that people there is really no Ukrainian identity because there's really no one from there. There's no ancestral Ukrainians. It's pretty interesting. And so they create these false places. It's a movie set. It's over time, but time doesn't really exist. And so they create, this has been in the works for a while. And then it's basically, I don't know, it's just happening on such a microcosm, but in a place that was built for this, I think.
It's like we said at the beginning, we'd only heard of Kyiv and Kiev and whatever, and that's all we'd heard of. And these little townspeople are saying, "Oh, go visit that, go visit that." They've been used for training exercises for years, so you will probably find a bombed-out building. You know?
Yeah. This is it. This is, as an ex-Soviet Union state, there are lots of ex-Soviet Union towns, villages, buildings are just derelict, that are falling apart, and are being used. The military training grounds, so it's so easy for them to be there because they're there anyway doing military training. Yeah. And then the BBC can just set up watching these guys doing their practice around a shitty old Soviet Union town that's deserted. And they could bomb the shit. It's probably cheaper to bomb that place to the ground than it is to get a digger in and take it down brick by brick.
You betcha.
And now it'd be good to at some point get a Ukrainian on, or I might try and to explain this, because funny enough, on the train yesterday, I had a long conversation with a young Ukrainian who could speak really good English. And he was giving me a history of all these towns that have just got nothing anymore. That used to be the hub of the factory building. The fabric. So it might be a town that's done mainly fabrics in the Soviet Union. And now it doesn't. It's all still there, but no one living there. And the only people that are hanging on are old people that don't want to move because they can't afford to or can't be bothered to move. So it is a movie set. I will go one further and say the whole of Ukraine is the perfect movie set ready to be used. You don't have to build a building for it to be and make it look shitty and be blown up. It's already there from the Soviet Union. I do have lots of footage of me on the train, going past all this kind of stuff. So I've got so much more footage to add. I'm going to call them deleted scenes because at this point it's going to be out of order of time. But I'll show people as you're coming in on the train, just endless empty buildings that, you could just throw a grenade in there, blow it up, bang, and then just claim that we're fighting Russians there when you're not, or fighting whoever there.
You're just busting up the theater set, the set dressing.
Yeah.
Real quick, you mentioned the factories, you mentioned the textile factory, correct? Like that was the main portion of Ukrainians are actually known for their textiles, these really beautiful fabrics. And okay, so this is interesting. North and South Korea, in the 50s when they had their separation and territory, it was one Korea, and then they broke it. They had a whole separate. And I think South Korea is a movie set. North and South Korea are both movie sets, essentially set up to have the exact same thing happen. Their industry was also textiles. I think that textiling is I think that there's something about that type of industry, the weaving of the tail. I think that there is something. I think that is a unique connector. That they have similar stories. They're both young, new territories that were after war were created, and they're still like always on the brink of war with and then North Korea with the nuclear, and then here with the nuclear. It's interesting that these I don't know a template of its own.
They're fabricating the fabric. Fabricating towns. I don't know. There's definitely something there. There is something there. And the guy was telling me last night, the young guy, that a lot of them towns just have a digital name. Like a name like 001, 002.
Like a binary
number.
Just a number. A town is just a number. Now people can look this up. There's a town that's called like Tractor, because they made the cloths for the inside of the tractor, like the cloth on the seat.
Yeah.
And he was saying to me, around there's the next town along is just called a number. Now, isn't that weird? That's like I'm thinking of like the prop on the moon landing, where the props had like, the moon rock had like C3 written on it, It's like, it's weird things like that. You just think,
naming
what's
of
going
things.
on?
Yeah. The naming of things, like the simplistic nature of that reveals like that someone is just lackadaisically categorizing these things that don't matter. They don't need real names because it's as arbitrary as 001. Like they're all fake, and so any actual name would just be an attempt to it's like not even necessary. And through that, they're showing us it's so beautiful. The revelations are so clear.
Feels like it, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah. And that skyline, you did like a little video of the skyline, and it doesn't matter where you are. In that skyline, you should have been able to see some sort of fighter jet or something.
Smoke, a bit of smoke in the air. Yeah, something.
Yeah,
nothing.
Just nothing. Business as
There's
usual.
grannies walking their dogs. There's people walking home and shopping.
Yeah. The grannies walking their dogs was a funny post. Because you're right. It was like, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. It was like everyone was going about their daily lives, not a care in the world, which couldn't be farther from what we're being shown.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it
The
does show
flak
that
jackets.
a lot
That's
of people
another
have
one that you said,
stayed.
didn't you?
You said a lot of people are exited and their lives have been totally upended, but a lot of people have, for whatever reason, they have the maybe resources or wherewithal to be able to hunker down and stay, and they're fine, and they'll be fine, and then they'll just pick back up when things pick back up. Yeah. Maybe
another thing I would just like to remind people is that during like I think it was the second lockdown. I'm going back to the scamdemic here. The second lockdown of London, 1 million people left the night before the lockdown. So that's 1 million people got out of that city and thought, I'm just going to go spend time with my friends, family in the countryside and have fun instead of being locked down in a city where I can't do anything. Yet the media did not report the 1 million people exiting London. So that's another thing I'd just like to remind people that, people do leave cities when they're locked down. So
yes.
And the fact
it was an invisible war. It was a war on an invisible virus. That's what they told us. COVID was compared to a war many times. Like they used war language. We are at war with an invisible virus or an invisible enemy or something like that. Yeah. It was invisible, all right.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
It's so similar. And the fact that COVID quit and the war began. One ended and the other.
Crossover of a
we
day.
just closed a chapter. I mean, it's like we're thumbing through the book titled "The Simulation." Like we're just thumbing through, and one chapter called COVID-19 came to a succinct and swift end. Although there's some bleed over, like people are still acting like it's real. It's not real. It's over. But it's like as soon as one thing stopped, then oh look, we're at war now. That was really convenient.
Mm-hmm.
And we just really came up on two. What is it? I guess in 2 days it'll be 2 years.
Well,
March 13th.
actually, Les actually predicted this on, didn't you, the 22nd of the 2nd?
Yeah.
You
Again, we're going on a woo-woo thing here. So that happened. When I was going to go, it was straight away like Russia's pulling away. Okay. Now, before leaving, it was nothing but fighting on the streets of Kyiv, pounding, artillery's pounding Kyiv, streets of Kyiv. The second I got there, the media straight away changed direction. They moved away from Kyiv the second I got there. It was everywhere else but Kyiv.
Yeah.
And that's what people are most hammering me for, going, oh, no, it's never in Kyiv. And I've got so much filming of the mainstream media saying it was Kyiv, and they've got footage of troops running up and down. So that's my main thing. I want to say, like, yeah, it was always Kyiv, and then they've changed it the second I got here, which I knew they would. I knew that would happen.
Mm-hmm. Me and Rambo had a whole segment on an episode about Kiev. We wouldn't have taken time to talk about it if it wasn't being hammered on us through the media.
Yeah.
And this is before the oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's and then people go, oh yeah, you need to go to the outskirts of the city. Like we already talked about, that's where the military stuff has always been happening. Like you're bound to see some sort of fallout, quote unquote.
But also, like, what you got to realize is that there's no such thing as a 10-minute bus here now anymore. It is a 7-hour ordeal going anywhere.
Mm.
So people say, "Oh, just jump on a bus." It will be a 7-hour ordeal of queuing up. You won't know when the bus is coming. You'll be getting shook down all the time by the police, like, "Why are you going there?" All these kind of things. And it's not that simple. If you want to go somewhere, you've got to plan a whole day to get there, and then a whole day to get back. And then, it's just, I can't just magically. Well, another thing people got to realize is I can't just magically teleport to these places. I'm not a BBC journalist. I don't have like talking to a lot of them. They got like a fixer.
Mm-hmm.
You've probably heard of this term, but this is a person sitting back home who books hotels. He books a translator. He'll book a security guard. He'll book a driver.
Mm-hmm.
Unlimited budget, right? He can get people around. I don't have that. So I can't just magically click my fingers and go to wherever the BBC reckons there's a fight. And even by the time I get there, that was filmed ages ago. Mm. So they want me to, I can't chase the ghost of where they claim there's a war. And I just can't afford to do that. And
I think you're exactly
right. Again, if I leave the city, and I wanted to be there when the tanks rolled into the city. That was my main thing. I only care about that city really, because I think as long as that city isn't taken, you're just going to have your 1984 style illusion of war, with it constantly coming in with reports of, oh, in this region, they won a decisive victory. Oh, in that region, they lost. And it's a ghost of a war. You'll never be able to confirm it's happened or not. It's just a report. If the Russians claim they've taken that city, that's going to be a big thing. Because that's when it's all about that city, man. Yeah.
It's the key. The Kyiv.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
I think you're in the right. You're doing the right thing. Your supposition is correct. Part of the illusion is on the outskirts. That's where it's happening. That's where the militarization zones have always been. And this whole thing, like you said, it was just they don't need to build anything to make this war appear happening. It's already existed because it's part of this decrepit Soviet era infrastructure and set dressing that already existed before this time. It's like just ready for this. You need to be in the place. You need to be in the heartbeat. If that heartbeat goes, then there's something real. Then there's something really happening. But until then, you don't need to. Yeah, you don't need to go stand on stage with a magician and be like, "See, everybody," like we got it. We already figured it out. We've figured it out from the audience together. But wow.
But also, there's weirdly, I've always had a bit of an obsession with the ex-Soviet Union places, and I watch a lot of like YouTubers that go to these. There are hundreds of YouTubers, travel vloggers that go to these empty towns and have been doing so for the last 6 years. So at some point I will upload their footage of them walking around these dead towns and picking up old like rocket launchers that are left there and stuff, like from like a year ago. So when people say to me, "Yeah, but you don't know that," I'm gonna say, look at this guy that was running around that place a year ago. running around the empty because what he does, there's a particular guy I like who runs around and he'll go through the empty buildings and pick up like the old shoe, the classic child shoe.
There's always one shoe. There's always one abandoned child's shoe. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's been the most surprising thing about the people, about your interactions with people, good or bad? Like I know the Mr. Smith thing. Was that a surprise to encounter the spiritual entity right away?
That was the main problem of walking around. There were so many. They're called like the Territorial Defense Force. So these are not professional soldiers. These are just locals that have just, put on a uniform, and they're, that's like an NPC right there. That's a believer right there. That's a Karen with a gun, with an AK-47, and they've got AK-47s. Now their whole job is they're apparently looking for spies. They're looking for spies.
You pull your phone out. Did he say put your phone away or stuff and stuff like that as well? Is that part of their role?
Yeah, they'll come up to you and ask,
are you a spy?
What you're doing. Yeah.
You are a spy.
I am, but the thing is, I originally had like this action camera, and I even had like a little recorder.
Yeah. In
case I wanted to do any chatting. Really old school stuff that's got like SD memory cards, so so I know it's kept.
Yeah.
But because no way, I soon realized there's no way I could be walking around as an English guy, looking like this with a load of filming and stuff. I might as well wear a t-shirt saying I'm a spy. Too risky. But that was the main danger I found, was the Ukrainian believers. And some of them, I think there's some of them that wear all black. And I don't know if that's because they haven't got the uniform yet. They've been told to wear all black. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure they've probably got a letter saying, look, as you haven't got a uniform yet, just wear all black and wear your yellow thing. So
they all got yellow armbands?
Yeah, but Rambo will probably notice they look like in England, in Britain, a nightclub bouncer.
Yeah, with the band,
Yeah, one of them, black jacket, black bobble hat on. They look quite intimidating, black boots on. And they're basically up and down walking the streets looking for spies. So this is another thing why I couldn't just endlessly film every street. I had to wait till I got to a street where no one was, whip out my phone and make out I was having a conversation, and kind of. But that was the main danger. It wasn't bullets, bombs. It was merely the Agent Smiths coming up to me and being like, what are you doing? And as well, I had one set of clothes, so every day I was wearing the same set of clothes. So it's getting to a point where it's becoming very obvious. I was not meant, I was starting to stick out in it because I had this denim jacket. There's only so many times you can make an excuse for walking around.
Right, and you're not hard to miss. I mean, you're a big guy.
I got tattoos down the side of my. I don't know if you can see.
You've got a lot of tattoos.
Yeah, and I'll tell you another thing. Like Ukrainians are not like English people are quite tattooed up. Ukrainians are not. But in that part of the world, the people that do have a lot of tattoos are the Russian mafia. So now we're getting even closer to like making myself stand out. Why? You
do look like a member of the Russian mob. If you just like whipped out, if you start speaking in a Russian accent right now, it's over. It's over.
Yeah. Yeah.
You do.
But I hope. But you see my point? Like I'm not dodging bullets and bombs. I'm not running. I'm dodging people that want me to go along with this law. Right. You're trying to be in stealth mode, and it's becoming harder and harder for that because you stick out like a sore thumb. And as more and more people are leaving, you've just got more and more of these men in black walking around. Yeah. Yeah. And you're not supposed to be there. And it's becoming more and more obvious that you don't belong there. You're not supposed to be there. Yeah. They don't want anyone doing what you're doing.
Definitely not. And it's more and more time you'd be there, the more risk of being arrested more than anything. That's probably the biggest risk, isn't it, really? Yeah. Yeah, that is it. That's the one thing that's the one little issue I was worried about, was being arrested and having to, I could just imagine what a nightmare that would be, and then going through my phone and then have I said this already? I basically got cashed out. What does that mean? Like I had no more cash to pay for my hostel. That's my biggest regret, is not loading up on cash in Poland
like Ukrainian money in Poland while I had the chance. I walked past that exchange place so many times. That was my one biggest regret. I wish I'd got like a bundle of cash and could have stayed out there more days. Because that was it. I suppose I couldn't. I basically offered to buy the hotel like a new radiator for the room that had no radiator. I said, "Can I buy your radiator for one more night?" And they were like, "No."
Wow.
Yeah.
How do we?
Now going out. Yeah, again, you're going through the same checkpoints, military checkpoints, and they've got a lot of tech. Like there's military people on the train that put your passport in this machine. It's like a screen.
Yeah.
So I'm coming up. I've been coming up all over the place, dotted around, you know.
Yeah.
And my real name, Rambo probably knows my real name now. My real name is quite similar to my stage name, Les Luthor. So it's not hard for them to be looking for an English guy with a similar sort of name. You know, I started
They know exactly where you've been and
Ooh, geolocation. Yeah.
so on the way
at
out,
the top,
it's the
they know
same.
everything. I mean, if
Same,
this
get your
is-
blanket and whatever.
I think you're protected. I think you're protected. Okay, so me and Rambo have had this conversation. Like, if we're really having the spiritual talk, I think that if you're doing this, you're okay. You're going to be okay. I think that there is something about the truism of this type of battle that you're like protected by a stronger force.
Well, clearly I am, because I got in, I got out.
Yeah.
I got in, I got out. Yeah. So I clearly am. Yeah.
That's it. The war-torn country, and they'll just let you just go there easy, walk around and get back out there.
Yeah, buy a cappuccino, buy a cake.
I don't think they can really stop us. I don't think they can really stop us from doing this. I think they just make it really unlikely for us to do this through psychological programming over an entire lifetime. That's one aspect of it. And then physical barriers on the other side. That's the other aspect of it. Like, so not only will we not even think to go, if we ever do think to do something like this, it's really hard to do. So it's like they got us both ways. But I think that the double edge of that sword, the other side of the sword, of the same instrument used to cleave a population, the other side of that sword like opens it up, opens a narrow passageway for us, for you, for someone who really is after the truth. And like, I don't think it can be hidden.
You've opened a lot of people's eyes. Anyway, I think so. I've been sending you videos to everyone, and they're like, "Oh my god, it's not what it says on the news." I was like,
Les, so you need to get on Instagram.
Everyone's asking for you on Instagram.
You need to get on Instagram, buddy. Twitter is amazing for developing the language of this type of. It's just good for getting, if you're going to start on social media. I mean, that's where both me and Rambo started. Twitter's where you go, but Instagram is a new way of getting your information out, and the audience is like so thirsty for this. It's like the right time. People are like finally ready to see this stuff. It's a great way.
Well, I don't know if you want to talk about it now or off air, but yeah, no, I definitely need your guys' advice on what to do about all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
We'll definitely have a download on next steps on social. But yeah, that's like how the sausage is made and everything. But all that to say is like people just want to know more about this. I'm so enthused. I'm so like encouraged and proud. I'm proud that thousands of people have found you through Twitter and have not just watched and liked, but actually followed. To get that follow, that's tough. That's tough sometimes to actually get a follow. Wow.
I was blown up. I've had quite a few mainstream, I would say mainstream, big people with big like not talk shows, like alternative media people have hit me up and said, "We want to talk to you."
Yeah, you've had some blue check marks. Didn't you have one bullying you? Didn't you have a blue check mark bullying you about like, "Oh man, you shouldn't be showing this," or something like that?
I don't know. I try and.
There's one, I don't even think it's a real person. He's been commenting on everything you do. Go to that town, go to that town. It's like,
oh yeah, Rambo said you had a
real
bully. Yeah. Oh yeah, a bully bot.
Yeah. I haven't managed to check on all the hate. I've looked at some of it, but it's too much to keep up with, you know. Rambo, mate, you have to come along.
I know. Well, that's what I actually thought that as well. I was actually thought that.
I love that we're all at this place like we're all at a space where we're following our passion. We're somehow, and it's not even, and that could one day turn into a profession. And it seems to be in the moment, in each moment, it seems to be getting more and more apparent that that's what's happening without us really even trying. We're just doing the things that we really enjoy doing. And then the support infrastructure is built around us as we go. Like all of a sudden, these platforms will pop up. And I mean, Les, like Rambo was saying it on break, but you might have carved yourself out a new career in correspondence, and how you're doing it, what you're doing it. It's simple, it's straightforward, but it's the unobstructed truth. And that's valuable.
Yeah, again, I kind of knew. It's so weird. I wanted to do this a few years ago. It's manifested into a real thing. Do you remember you said to me a couple of days ago about picture that door opening? Remember the Egyptian door I told you about?
Yep.
I did that with this. I had visions of myself walking on the streets. That's why the other day I sent you a question on your Patreon, like, did we die in 20? Things are just happening too easy. The dream world is happening too easily at the moment. Mm-hmm. Like we're all living. It feels like we're living in a dream where things are just happening so easily. Like,
yeah, I feel that.
It almost to the point it's surreal and unbelievable. Like, am I really here in Poland? You know.
It kind of makes all those barriers seem theatrical. All the barriers that we experience through life, all the barriers, the perceived barriers through society, that we're given, school and profession, and just every part of the way that we live is like a barrier, and we have to keep learning and keep learning. But those are all just constructs. Those are just like those roadblocks on those random roads,
Sorry, one sec. I only speak English. Yeah, that's okay then. Yeah. Yeah. And just, I think that bed's free. Yeah. Okay. A new guy's turned up.
Got some guests.
Yeah. So I'll move to my ear. Hopefully it's quite good audio with my earphones.
Yeah.
It's just horrible for me. It makes me feel like I'm underwater, but let's see what happens.
That'll make it even more dreamlike, actually.
And hopefully it doesn't rub against my clothes and stuff. But yeah, can you hear me okay? Great. Is that good?
Yes, that sounds great. Crystal clear, actually. Sounds wonderful. This is blowing my mind how interconnected we are. I'm here on the 33rd parallel in Dallas, Texas. Rambo is in the UK. You are live from where you are.
Poland border town right now.
A border town, a secret border town that we're not going to disclose. But
and have you seen people like kind of going over, like, we're going to fight? Kind of, is there a lot of those kind of guys there? That are going over to fight?
So I met a Polish guy that was like looking into a Polish mirror of me, but he had a blonde beard, and he was very much wanted to go there and fight. Yeah. And he was trying to convince me to go with him and join the Foreign Legion or whatever. Yeah. But it's funny. He was telling everyone that asked him, where are you going there? He'd say, I'm a tourist. His plan was not to tell everyone he's doing military service. Where I was kind of saying to people, I might volunteer. That was the reason, like, why are you going there? I said, well, I might volunteer. I don't know. So we were saying the opposite things. But yeah, now I left him at Lviv. I don't know what happened to him. I just wanted to get into the main city as quick as I can, but he stayed there. He said he wanted to get like a new SIM card and money and stuff.
What if he was you? What if he was a spy from Poland and he was trying to show that it's not real? He was doing the same thing you were, trying to get a SIM card, trying to get some cash. That's what you tried to do the second you got into the city.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Although from chatting to him, he seemed like a believer. Like he was going to LARP. He seemed like he was going to go LARP it.
Like he was okay. He's up for a LARP.
Yeah. But yeah, there was a big group when I was in the queue going into the country. There was a group in front of me that all had like army gear on and stuff. And they weren't Ukrainians. They were clearly, I think there was an Australian guy, like a Belgian guy. Yeah. And they were loving it. When all the reporters were coming up to them, they were loving it.
And they're going, this is anti-Russia narrative through and through, right? Like everybody is, the through line is Russia bad, Ukraine good, Russia enemy, Ukraine brave freedom fighters, like that's the, and so people that are coming from wherever, Australia, out of towners, they're all going to embolden the Ukrainian side to fight against Russia. Nobody's like, here, I'm coming from the Russian army to come fight you. Like nobody's doing that, right?
They're going to get given a uniform, maybe a gun, and they're going to get sent to some trench, and they're going to sit there for 6 months doing nothing.
How interesting that a textile town is pumping out these uniforms. They get a fabric remembrance of the war. I guess every soldier does. I mean, the uniforming is a really big part of every single war.
It's a costume. It's a costume.
Costume, and costumes are important. Costumes make things real. The mask was our costuming of the war, the Corona theater, medical theatrics.
So go on, Melissa.
If say it did actually become a real one, and the Russians did, I would happily defend myself and Ukraine, but I wouldn't wear a uniform. I would say, just give me a gun, innit? And I'll go fight who's ever trying to kill us. Yeah, but I'm not going to dress up in your uniform and start saluting you and laughing along with that crazy shit. But it was never going. We all know it's never going to happen.
Right, and that suggests that there is a bad side. Like there is no baddie, and there is no goodie here. Like
so these people going over there now, getting a uniform on, getting given a gun, they'll go and take a good few pictures for Instagram and send to the family and stuff, won't they? And then it all makes it real. They were there. They've been to fight.
They'll be accommodated through that LARPing situation for the media. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they were handed over to the media department of the military, because I saw a lot of these. I could tell they were media people of the military, because they were like young, good-looking women, and they'd be like walking the press around, but they had their army uniform on.
Right.
So there's no doubt the volunteers would get put with them. They'd probably lock them through to some trench, taking photographs all the way, building up that story for back home, for the propaganda.
Photography is very important. I mean, as with media, war media is very important.
Yeah. But as for what actually happened to them, I don't know, because all of them were pussies, basically. They stopped at Lviv. Yeah. And they made excuses not to go into the city. Like, another thing, should I say? Yeah, that you just quoted a post from an American guy, a journalist. I was with him in the queue. Do you know what I mean? With the
World War III. Okay, so there was a journalist who posted a picture of a tank blockade in the middle of the road, and it's a structural. It's almost like a sculpture, but it's these large structures of steel that are crossbarred, and there's 3 of them, and they're centered by this cement structure in the middle, and they are really they're big, and they're meant to stop tanks. And you put them in the middle of the street, it's a blockade. It stops tanks from coming. So someone shared that this museum World War II artifact, that exists in the museum, was hauled out and plopped in the middle of the road for this war, because it's made of steel. Like, I guess it can still do the thing, but the fact that we were using museum props in the middle of the city it just seemed way too on the nose. And it reminded me of a sculpture that I have in my city, and I've always looked at it and gone like, "What is that? Like, what? Like, I don't really get that." And then it's like a template. It's a 1-to-1. It was. I realized that this iconic sculpture in my city is a template of wartime theatrics.
Yeah, but he's a real person.
Oh, I wasn't questioning the journalist. I was just.
No. I'm just saying like, I was with him, and now he's a believer. This is the thing.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say anything bad against him.
Oh yeah.
He was a nice guy to me.
He was like, "Hey, look at this thing. This is kind of remarkable." This.
Yeah. But I'm wondering if he's connected the dots of who I am, because we've got each other's phone numbers.
Oh.
Yeah. So I left him at Lviv because he was like, "Oh, I'm not going in until I've got a flak jacket." And I was like, "Oh, fuck it." And I went, and but we carried on messaging each other. And he was like, "Oh, I'm staying in Lviv with friends." And at one point, the last message I sent him was, "Come on, man, get us some paperwork. Let's go and film this." Because he was saying he might get some official paperwork from Ukraine to say he's a journalist to go and do all that stuff. So I wanted to buddy up with him. I wanted to play along with him and be like, yeah, man, get me some of that paperwork as well, and I'll come with you.
You know, I should have, I mentioned this actually in a DM to you. I should have prepared you some press credentials.
Yeah.
I should have done that. I should have.
But now we know, innit? Now we know. Now we know what to do.
Mm-hmm. Now we know. You know, you learn as you go. You learn as you go. But
That's
I was
it,
like,
yeah.
it really just, there's not a uniform. There's not a uniform. There's all sorts of things that can qualify as a media pass, as credentialing for media press pass. And to be honest, Realize Radio is a journalism, it's a journalism art consortium. And we qualify as, if it just looks official enough, you could have been officiated by Realize Radio platform. I should have done that.
I'm guessing though the other half of that is the government, Ukrainian.
And then
official.
they see everything. And then they see all of it. But again,
no, but I mean, as like a bit of paperwork that I can carry around, I'm guessing that's the most important one. Is the.
And you just also just get a laminated badge that just has your just real official looking. All you need is a laminated badge and a press pass, and both of those things don't require government documentation. They just require official enough looking things from official enough parties saying you're doing what you're doing, and then you can get a pass. You can get a press pass.
Yeah.
Now we know. Now we know. And if anybody out there is in journalism, does anything like this, I want to hear from you. Like, if you guys are listening to this and you're like, oh, he should have done this, or he could have done this, or, you know, in the way that he's described travel, or the way, you know, but there's really not a blueprint for this type of stuff for going to document the theater of war. But how interesting that we're learning how to do this on the fly, and you're teaching us.
I think ultimately, what helps the BBC out is they got the money, right? They got the unlimited funds, right? I'm sure they hand a few envelopes of money out to people. Like, say you wanted to go on one specific, what I call a movie set. Yeah. There'd be a checkpoint, and you'd have to go past that checkpoint. Now, I'm sure that guy LARPing as a checkpoint guy, if you chucked him a bit of money, come on in, man, he'll probably be your guided tour, right? So that's another thing I never had. I didn't have that, but I'm sure that goes a long way. Things like that.
Definitely.
You know,
also having a driver, like, you know, like the thing, like
driver,
having
security guard, a local,
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just not that easy to get to these places that people say. Like, having a local, I think, would definitely help. Paperwork definitely helps, and the money's a big part of that.
And that's, the BBC has the deepest pockets. I know the New York Times is over there. They're doing all sorts of, like, but they went over there to get this rich media journalism. Like, they're doing all these heart-tugging stories. Like, they're going out there, even though life is like humdrum and banal, other than I mean, you really did have to evacuate. Like, because people out of fear, they evacuated, not because their actual buildings were being bombed, but because they were told that they needed to, and they made that decision. But like, they're finding all these harrowing stories of this, and that's all we're being presented. In a way, they play a numbers game. They'll ask 100 people. Mm-hmm. They spend all day, and then once they find that one that fits is that perfect bit of juicy kind of emotion, that's the one they'll use. They're playing a numbers game.
Yeah. That person is then a free crisis actor. So these people want to be the crisis actor, don't they? Do you know?
Yeah.
And even the description of, like, the kids huddled and eating their little tinfoil covered sandwiches. Like, if a journalist just described that scene, you know, that's heartbreaking, even though it's just, like, designed to be like this, designed to provide a certain visceral experience. And when you describe that certain visceral experience, like, the audience can feel it. So all these, like, layers of prop and theatrics really do. I mean, it's real and it's unreal. It's hyper real. It's, you know, it's
like Les says, immersive 4D. That's the best way to describe what he's been through, I'd say, up to now. Yeah. So like everything's there, but what it seems.
Yeah. A 4D immersive ride, with crazy, isn't it? Crazy.
That's crazy. Well, we are I know you're on low battery. You probably need to charge up and rest up and all these things. We've taken an hour and nearly 90 minutes of your time. This was excellent. I can't wait to hear from you again.
Well, much respect, Les, for doing what you've done.
Cheers, man. And I really appreciate the support. I mean, you guys have supported me from the beginning, basically. You guys put me on the map, really. So I do appreciate that. I'm kind of probably going to do the only interview of you guys. So I'm probably going to really promote this interview. And I'm probably going to reject everyone else.
Yeah.
Because I don't know who they are. I don't know what angle they're going to come from. They might try and portray me as a dick or something.
Yeah.
So if you do want to make this even longer,
let's
I need to go and charge my phone for 5 minutes though.
Let's take a charging break and we'll be right back.
Because I think once I post out, hey guys, I've done an interview with Real Eyes Radio, and this is the only one, you're going to have people, even just to hate listen to me, are going to come on your.
Okay. Well, we don't want anybody to hate listen. You want everyone to positive vibe listen.
Sometimes though, they have to do that before they.
That's true. The first time through,
and
yeah.
think,
Then they come back.
actually,
Boomerangs.
right.
We love the boomerangs. People that are real.
It might have been was it Liz? Liz, one of the Real Eyes Radio crew sent me a message going, like, haters is a good thing. That means you're doing well. Like, you need more haters.
Yeah.
I was like, it's true. Yeah, I haven't got enough haters. Like,
it is, and
you'll experience this too. Though they come around. Me and Rambo have a word for it. We call it the boomerang. When they go far, they tell you all the reasons that you're wrong and how far away you are from the truth, and then all of a sudden, after a certain time, they come all the way back around, and they're like, oh, they're showing you stuff, and so yeah, you'll have a couple.
Like someone commented on your stuff, didn't you? I seen and you tweeted him out, and it was like all the people screaming there's absolute war in Ukraine aren't even in Ukraine. You know?
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? These armchair warriors, I just don't get it. Like, they sit at home and they're not doing anything, and they just naysayers again and again, man. Like, get yourself out there, innit?
You went and proved it. As far as I'm concerned, you proved it. Do you know?
Well, there's no winning with them guys, is it? No matter what I do, wherever I go, they would say, "Oh, go to the next town." But I just can't. I can't compete with a BBC budget. I can't.
And chasing the ghost war.
Yeah, and that guy will never be happy, no matter what I do.
Yeah.
And it's like me saying to him, you go and take a selfie with Biden. I want you to go and take a selfie with Biden. He's a real person. See how easy that is. It's not. This is the main stage right now of the world. They're going to do everything they can to stop you getting on that stage. That's what all the checkpoints are. They don't want you on that stage and ruining their show. You can't. It's designed to be difficult. I know I got pretty lucky with Keith walking onto that set, but walking from set to set, you're going to struggle, man. Like, so people have to be realistic. My haters have to be realistic about their demands, what they want me to do. You know.
Well said. Well said.
Can't please everyone. That's the thing. Then some of them will never accept it. They'll never accept it. Like you said, they'll always find, well, go to this town then. All right, and go to that town then. You never please.
Never be enough. It'll never be enough. No. Yeah.
And when they're not doing themselves, nothing that you do can never be. And before we take a break, I will say that was always one of my biggest, deepest regrets as Human Vibration is that I didn't go to Boulder, Colorado and do the on the ground investigate and go talk to the sheriff. I didn't do my boots on the ground investigations that I really wanted to. Granted, when I woke up, that was when COVID was coming up, but I kept wanting to go to these places. I wanted to go to Manhattan and show that it was just a theatrical set with the hospitals. But I didn't. I didn't do any of these things. And you, Les, you're doing it. You just did it. You are doing the real work. This is the real work. This is so special. And
I worked in a hospital. I could have. Sorry, I won't cut you off. Go on. Yeah. Finish your.
I'm just so proud of you. I'm so proud
Same.
of this. I'm just so proud of you and everything. And I feel to be tangentially connected to it, through it, by you. I feel like I have eyes in you. I feel like I'm there. I'm able to be there. You're like a foot soldier for the apocalypse, for the unveiling, for the lifting of the veil. I don't know how else to describe you. I mean, other than just an awesome dude.
I wanted to rent a bike. A push bike, and I wanted to cycle through the apocalypse of Kyiv. That was my one thing I wish I'd done. Just me cycling, saying, "Look, guys,
meditate on a bike. Meditate on a bike, and I guarantee you, in the middle of the road with the keys in it, if it's a keyed bike, it's just going to be there for you."
What one of your videos did look like when you walk, like the I Am Legend movie, where there's no one around and you just walk in the streets.
Well, the more and more that city gets emptied, the more and more it falls behind the curtain for them to start messing with it. I mean, just think when it's just a blank canvas, how much digital madness they can add to that. And actually, I wouldn't mind putting it out there to one of the guys that are quite good at that, to get one of my videos and prove to people how they can just add the moon falling down. You know, like what Rambo often shows. Yeah. There's a jumbo jet flying over your head, or the moon's coming. You know, someone could do that in my videos.
Yep, multi-layered. It's composite videos. You take elements of the real, mix in elements of the unreal, and together it's a compilation, but it feels real because you're using so many real elements. Like this stuff that you're showing, that would be a base of reality, and then overlaid with unreality. It becomes harder and harder and harder to recognize what's unreal because it's so submerged with the real these days because the technology allows for that. And if you're not scrutinizing, I love that idea. I love that idea of taking what you're doing and showing how easy it is because that's what we're seeing from the media.
Yeah.
All these little pew pew pews. Oh my God, it's so movie craft. It's so Hollywood.
Well, Rambo is the guy for that. He is the guy for that. Like, he's got so many good examples of they can just click at a building, a window, smoke, fire.
This was Rambo's
next windows.
Talk about original fascination. You know, your original fascination was cueing. Rambo's original fascination is these CGI elemental overlays and how they do it, special effects style, specifically Hollywood, specifically fire. You know, like it's That's so.
It. And war, there's so much war stuff out there, you know, where they can like show like buildings, apocalyptic cities, and then really it's just a little section, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a great one, haven't you, of the guy running through a town and then it rewinds, it adds smoke, he runs through, then it rewinds, it adds the fire. It's just going the layers and layers. It's all there on Rambo's Twitter if people want to check out like how easy it is to add this stuff on. And that's what clearing out this city is going to be about. Now, you've got to wait till in the future. That's what you're going to start. The second I leave, I think they're really going to... I've left already. Now that I've left, they're going to start ramping up that kind of thing. They could get any block that's perfectly fine and just start adding that stuff to it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, guys, I'm not there to go and prove it isn't happening. But I think I walked enough streets to prove that
I think
it's been bombed out.
Before we break, you just reminded me something. Rambo, you both, like the multi-layer, the guy running and then the smoke and the guy running and then this is showing on how everything is on a different layer. This goes back to cueing and Q. Q used to always talk about Snow White. Why did Q talk about Snow White? Why was Snow White significant? Snow White was the first Disney film to introduce this multi-plane camera where everything was happening on a different layer. The foreground action, the shadow was on a different layer than the background, the background. The moon was on a different layer than the trees in the foreground. The main action character was happening all on a different layer, and they all layered together to be an amalgamation of reality. I think that technology always existed, but through Hollywood, we're told that this was the first time that it was ever employed. So I think it's all about that multi-plane layering of the visual presentation. It is a Disney
it will
production.
Be, and for that, it'll be the exact streets people have seen, you know. So obviously, can recreate it all as digital, but what better thing to go there and just add on the bits to the real place, you know?
Yeah. The familiarity, people go, I've
been there,
I've
been in that
there.
shop. Yes.
Yeah.
The war, it's happening up here.
It is the spiritual war.
In here, in our hearts and in our minds. Yeah. Okay, Les, charge up. We'll connect. We'll be right back. We'll be back soon.